Alright guys, we're in the paint set section of our store. It's Paul, by the way. You're going to be noticing a pattern here, or not a pattern, just what it really is in terms of the hobby. This is Vallejo, and then right here, so that's two sections of Vallejo. This is AK a little bit, just this middle section. And then just down there, that's also Vallejo. So that's 2.5 sections of Vallejo already. Hi, by the way, hello. And that's Ammo by MiG, tiny section near the bottom there. A little bit up top, and then there on the side. So I would say that this section is about 55-60% Vallejo, 25% AK, and then the rest is Ammo by MiG. You'll see why Vallejo is so prevalent, because they're actually so beginner focused. They're so good. So when you look back in the beginning of this video, this will basically be the face of all acrylic paint sets. And why, I wouldn't say it's the only one you should get, at least for beginners who you recommend the hobby to. It's probably the only one they'll need. One of those anyway, not that specific one. But anyway, see ya. Here is another section for Vallejo. Yep. Ooh, yeah, see? Vallejo, pretty big, yeah? Now, we're not just going to be talking about Vallejo. We're going to talk about other brands and what they can potentially offer a beginner. And as a beginner, what to look out for when you're looking for paint sets, yeah? All right, so let's go to AK paint set. Okay, let's just talk about Vallejo and its merits, yeah? All right, sounds good. Thank you. What you're looking at is one of Vallejo's specialties, the paint set. Paint sets have been around for as long as the hobby has existed, but it seems in the modern day, Vallejo are the only ones to have fully mastered it and catered it to the modern needs of the hobbyists. You'll see what I mean soon. See ya. Let's get right down to it. This is one of the most basic paint sets that Vallejo offers, and you'll notice that it's green. Green for their main paint sets typically means that it isn't pre-thinned, meaning it is mainly used for hand painting with a paintbrush. So it is made for beginners, the absolute beginners who may not have an airbrush compressor, a gun, all that stuff. Yeah, this is definitely curated with them in mind. Definitely one of the most entry-level paint sets out there. And you can tell, War Game Special. Wargaming is now one of the biggest pulls of the hobby industry, from Warhammer, D&D, Battletech, Star Wars Legions, right? I mean, Warhammer is a multi-billion-dollar company, or Games Workshop specifically. This is the main appeal of the green paint sets. Whereas the black boxes here, that's typically pre-thinned. Now, you can still use this for Warhammer, but generally speaking, these black boxes are made with the airbrusher in mind. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner, you're an expert, so long as you have an airbrush and you love pre-thinned paints, you don't want to bother buying a thinner, these black paint sets are for you. And you can tell this is the basic colors paint set. You can tell it's just the Roy G. Biv stuff, right? And they added a couple more things in there to make it special, but otherwise the most basic colors you can ever want, really. And you can MacGyver your way from 2 different colors from there. So I've talked about the green and the black paint sets, but Vallejo don't just offer those. In fact, they offer so much more. For example, this. Vallejo has a number of specialty lines, specifically shifters. They're rare, and you would need to either prime the entire model kit with gloss black, or that area to be either primed or painted with gloss black for these paints to take full effect. But they have this nice shimmery effect where, depending on where you look, where you place your head, they will shift. And these paints specifically, right, they tell you there's space dust, magic dust, And the third one's out of stock. These paint sets are probably the best paint set offering released recently, and this was released in 2023 by Vallejo. These are the Game Color paint sets. Just so you know, Game Color is their war gaming line, whereas Model Color is their more realistic, military, or just realistic paint line. So there's a distinct difference between the two. Game Color is more vibrant, but you can mix and match them. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, yeah, Game Color. Look at that. And when you flip it to the back, there's no mistaking it. This is definitely geared towards beginners, as it uses kind of like a gradient in which you use the first color, the deepest, as the base, and then you just go lighter and lighter to provide highlights, to provide depth. Oh man, and every single one of them is like that. This one is perfect for, I would say, more ice stuff. I know it has like a cape instructions in the back, which, by the way, the instructions are comprehensive. So yeah, this is, I would use this if you're a Space Wolves player. I would use this for that. And I wanted to touch upon this a little bit. This is why Vallejo is king, at least in terms of acrylics, and why they're kind of the benchmark. They focus on beginners, and they kind of don't grift, if AK kind of does. Okay, don't get me wrong. AK is incredible. AK 3rd Gen has been incredible. But I'm talking primarily about their paint sets. AK, it's a little hit or miss in terms of what they offer. And it's definitely, at least from an appearance standpoint, not geared towards beginners. You'll see what I mean soon. Anyway, again, this is the leather paint set. So if you have a bag or something, or leather armor, perfect for that. But yeah, Vallejo also has metal color paint sets. These are primarily from their metallic color paint set line. I think there's about 20 or so colors in that line, and you get 4 here. Pretty good value, because these are, I think, 32 or 60 each. Regardless, quite big bottles. Pretty good price, actually. And they tell you what it's used for. And again, this one isn't in a gradient. It's more of a general purpose thing. Has duraluminum. This is, I think, copper. Yeah, it is copper. One is silver for sure, and this, I can't tell. Oh, it's gunmetal gray, and the other one's exhaust manifold. It's very shiny, so I thought it was silver. Anyway, so yeah, another 4. They really love their 4s, or the number 4 in Vallejo. This one is the beginner mud and sand pigment set, and the way you use pigments typically is you just get a brush and you just brush it on very lightly to, like, maybe if you're doing a Space Marine, to the bottom of the feet. Maybe just near the ankles, especially if you're doing a more dusty looking terrain, and you think that you're done, but not really, because you can just brush off the pigments. That's where the pigment filter comes in, pigment fixer, sorry, or a sealer that will make it so that the effect is permanent. Very easy to use. You don't need any sort of liquids to do it. Use it with, in conjunction with, but that's basically it. And I've basically talked about a lot of the basic stuff for Vallejo. I'll show you what I mean when it comes to AK really quickly. Yeah, this is another one. Very nice color, by the way. And oh yeah, they come in 16 bottles or 6 bottles. There are some that come with 8. So there's 6 bottles like this in a set. There's 8, slightly longer, same kind of width, but longer in length. So 8 bottles. And then their biggest sets, for these sizes, are 16. They have bigger sets. Like I think the Model Air set combined is like 32 to 40 paints, maybe even bigger than that. It's in a briefcase. So yeah, give me 1 sec. So I've spent a lot of time talking about the merits of Vallejo paint sets. And you know, they're valid, they're cool, they're very good, in fact, the Premier. But let's talk about AK. And you'll notice, look at this, the packaging is nice, at least the front is, and you'll see what I mean very shortly, because initially you're like, oh, good impressions, what does it say? So this is the blue essential colors, Yeah, blue all over. Different shades of blue. Yeah, right? Very nice. Let's flip it to the back now. This is where the problem is, right? Initially, you're like, whoa, nice artwork. But then you look in look deeper into it, and you notice, are we just playing matching? What's like happening here? Because sky blue, that's not sky blue. Not even the same thing. That okay, look, I was gonna make a demonstration on how maybe it's a little inaccurate and a little confusing for beginners. Well, first of all, this will overwhelm a beginner. It says essential colors, implying that if you're a beginner, this is what you get. Granted, if you're an expert, you can still get essential colors, but you know that as an expert. You don't need to be told. This is definitely targeted for beginners. And yet, that's not even the same shade. I mean, it says it's sky blue for both, but this is closer to sky blue. That one definitely isn't sky blue. As someone who paints a lot of Warhammer, I can tell you, this is not sky blue, man. It got worse. Let's compare it to, where's Vallejo's paint set? Here. This is Vallejo's blue themed paint set versus AK's. So you've seen this, we're basically playing matching and it doesn't even match. And no instructions too, by the way. None. This is Vallejo's paint set. It tells you in 4 panels what you need to do. And it's even numbered, so there's zero confusion. They even tell you the paint number, what to use, and how to use it. In 1 sentence, maybe 2. That's it. Oh, the second sentence is actually in Spanish. So in 1 sentence even, they did an incredible job. Now, I'm not saying Vallejo is perfect, because let's take a look at this box here. The Fallschirmjäger. It has all the paints. You're like, okay, cool, cool, cool. But then we flip it, and it's just explaining what acrylic paints are in different languages. Good to know, I guess. And I guess if you're a beginner, I have encountered people in person who don't know what acrylic is, but they know what water-based paint is. So they know what they're looking for. They just don't know what the name of it is. It happens, guys. It happens. But anyway, yeah, so it's not perfect. Vallejo is not perfect by any means. But you can tell that this is just a product of the size of the box. Because, again, a lot of Vallejo products are windowed. There's even a smaller 8 paint pack that's windowed too. So it's just, I guess, a consistency issue for them. So again, they're not perfect. And it might even be size and or consistency. But they try. And again, this is just acrylics. So no instructions, but at least they show you what's in the box. And what's in the bottle specifically. What shades are they actually? Because this will not look exactly like what they're advertising, and the advertising won't look the same as what's in the actual bottle. So windows are always superior to printouts, and even if there aren't printouts, like this Waffen Tank SS crew from Kursk, yeah, right, printouts, they make way for clearer instructions. See, they tell you how to use it and what it contains. And not necessarily how to use it, right? But it kind of implies, like, these colors are used for that, the camo and whatnot, right? So pretty informative still. Now, let's take a look at another paint set. This is actually their more numerous paint sets for AK. The 3rd generation. Again, no hate to AK, 3rd generation. Very good paint line, right? We all know we love it. Let's look at the back. Tells you the paints, okay. This is actually better, so it ruined my example. But let's look at another egregious one. Same paint line, so why is there some sort of consistency? Oh, inconsistency. Yeah, look at that. How do you use that? That doesn't make any sense. How do you know which one is the base one, which one's the lighter one? Right? I mean, you can tell which one's lighter, which one's darker, but in what order do you use the paints? Because in theory, think about it like this. You're going to prime them all in one color, right? So which one do you start? And look at this. The mini is highlighted. So it ruins the example or the gradient they're going for, because all of it is highlighted expertly, actually. This is funny, by the way. It ruined my example. I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfectly serviceable. Anyway, moving on. I can assure you though, there are more of this than there are of this. There's like 6 paint lines remaining for the, or paint sets for this line. This, the tank line specifically. There are more of this. In fact, there's like 20 or so paint sets in this, and all of it's like this. Let's look at another one. This one is sort of an in-between between a good one like this that they have and a really bad one. And yeah, I mean, it's another matching game. Guys, what are we doing here? This one's slightly better than the blue example, but it's still not that far off. It doesn't tell you anything. In fact, that green is slightly lighter than the shade it's pointing at. It's not pointing at the camo right there. It's pointing at the actual turret. And this is pointing at the camo. So what are we doing here? But the man. So again, guys, just one final aside. AK paints, incredible. But packaging-wise, they could be improved. They could be better. I'll make another video sometime in the future about just the influencer side of things in the hobby. That's another topic for another time. I think, if I remember, this is future Paul, basically. Like 3 days after I filmed the rest of the video. But yeah, I think I may have touched on it unless I deleted it to save it for the future video. Anyway, paint sets for AK, pretty good, though message can be confusing as to what you can use them for. Packaging could be better. Vallejo is undefeated. Isn't that right, David? No. He says that as he's holding a Vallejo paint set. That's pretty funny. Anyway, see you guys.